one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed.
Good morning. You guys doing all right today? Hey, Happy New Year. My name's CJ, pastor at the Short Church, and I am so glad that you're here with us this morning. If we've never met, I'll be in the lobby on the way out of here. I'd love to shake your hand, learn your name, get to know you a little bit better. So we're here in the first Sunday of the new year. So far, you guys have perfect attendance for 2016. That's pretty awesome, right? And I'm a big believer in the way you start something is a great indicator of how you're going to finish it. So if you start well, you have a better chance of ending well. So 2016 is looking up for you guys, all right? It's going to be awesome. And I believe that 2016 is going to be the best year of your life if it's the best year of your life spiritually. And that's something we say quite often every new year around here, but I think it's true. If you can take this year and make it the best year of your life spiritually, it will be the best year of your life, guaranteed. And there's three things I want to do to help you make sure that this is your best year ever. They're not in your notes, not on the screen, anything. The first one, though, is a Bible reading plan. If you go to Bible.com or you download the Bible app, there's reading plans on there. I've started the 1-year Bible, and the link is on our Facebook page. You can check that out. I would love it if you read that 1-year Bible with me, about 10 minutes a day. And if you miss a day, listen, I'm not going to be mad at you. Jesus isn't mad at you, okay? Just start up the next day. Got it? Okay, I'd love it if you read that with me 10 minutes a day. It'll make all the difference this year because you'll grow spiritually. Second thing is, starting next Sunday, we're going to take on 21 days of prayer as a church. And many of us are going to fast as well. So we're going to do 21 days of prayer and fasting. And you may be new to being a Christian or something like that, and you have no idea what fasting even is or why you would do it. Well, for you, we've got a great resource on our website, and really anyone can get information from there and really grow in their application of prayer and fasting. So if you go to our website, theshortchurch.com, on the top right-hand side, we'll have a little section there that talks about our 21 days of prayer and fasting and give you different types of fast. I'm doing what's called a Daniel fast, where it's no meats, sweets, dairy, bread, all the fun stuff, all right? This is like all gone. But you know why I'm doing it? Because there's something within each one of us that hangs on to the world, but there's another part of us that hangs on spiritually, because we are physical and we're spiritual, aren't we? So there's two pieces of us. When we let go of the physical for a season, it gives us the opportunity to embrace the spiritual with two hands. And that's what a fast does. And that's what I want you guys to do with me over the next 21 days, from the 10th through the 31st. And so if you want more information, go ahead, go on our website. We've got all the resources you need right there. We'll also have our blog going so that you guys can read with us, pray with us, and set that reading plan with us as well. All right. And then the last thing I'm doing to help you make sure that 2016 is the best year of your life is our current series called The Key to Everything. You guys excited about this? I'm very excited about it. It's based on a book by Pastor Matthew Keller, and the cover looks a little something like this. You can pick this up. If you're like me, though, you prefer a little bit more digital version of it, read it on your iPad or your Kindle, so you can highlight and stuff like that. So you can get that from the Amazon store, anything like that. But it's called The Key to Everything. And we're going to be working our way through this book for 4 weeks. Now, if you're like me, sometimes the series just isn't enough to dive in, because you know the book includes more stuff, right? Like when you watch the movie of the book and you read the book already, you're going, but wait, they missed that. Listen, I'm going to miss half the content in here because we can't jam it all into 4 weeks. Pick this book up. I promise you it'll help you start off your 2016 and make it the best year of your life ever. Okay, so we're doing this series, Key to Everything, and I know the question you're asking, right? What is the key to everything? What is it? Because if you're going to title a book that or do a series that, people are going to ask the question, well, what is it? Well, can I let the cat out of the bag right now with you guys? You promise you're going to come back for the rest of the series, though, right? Because if I let it out now, I don't want you to go, well, I already know the key to everything, see you later, right? I want you to come back. Deal? No, got to be louder than that. Deal? Okay, good. Thank you. The key to everything, you guys ready for this? According to Matt Keller in this book, the key to everything is teachability. Teachability. It's our ability to learn and grow. If we are unwilling or unable to learn and grow, we are no longer able to be teachable. And that's going to put a cap or a lid on our ability to grow. It's going to stop us from becoming all that God had really designed us to be. We're going to fall short of our potential. It's kind of like a roadblock, okay? Have you ever hit a roadblock before, driving down the road, and all of a sudden it's like road closed, go the other way, right? Well, one day I was driving to the first church I worked at, and the roadway had like a ditch underneath it. But one night, during the night, the storm came through, and he washed out the ditch right there. And so I'm coming down the road, and I get there, and it's completely washed out, roads blocked, everything. And on the other side of the washout, 10 feet down, is the driveway that I want to get in. Terribly inconvenient roadblock. And it's not just that it was 30 feet away, it just 20 feet of it was open, exposed, like stream flowing through. The most inconvenient thing is I had to go 3 or 4 miles around to get to the driveway just to go the other way. So it added time, it added frustration to my life for sure. I had to spend more money on gas, everything like that. It was a roadblock. And I think in our lives, we encounter roadblocks on our journey to grow in our relationship with God. And so some of these roadblocks we want to talk about today. And we're going to take an example from a man named Moses about these roadblocks. Moses was an incredible leader, Old Testament leader, but not just an incredible leader for the Bible, but an incredible leader if you look at anywhere in history. He was a great leader, and we're going to learn some of those lessons from him today. Let me set up a passage of Scripture, Exodus chapter 18. We're going to read from 13 to 19, and I want to set you up with this. Many of you know the story of Moses, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating something, but Moses was called by God to help the Israelites achieve freedom from the Egyptians. And so Moses goes to Pharaoh, and he says, "Let my people go," and Pharaoh's like, "Nope, not going to happen." God sends a plague. Pharaoh says no. God sends another plague, and so on and so forth until Pharaoh's like, "Finally, yes, go." And Moses leads what scholars would say roughly around 1 million people out of Egypt to the banks of the Red Sea. Pharaoh changes his mind, sends his army to go get the Israelites, to take them captive as slaves once again, except for God puts a fire in the way, splits the Red Sea, they cross on dry ground, and they're free. And they have that Braveheart moment, right? Freedom! Right? And they're on the other side, like, this is awesome. And so they're going through the desert, they're on their way to the promised land, and that's when Moses' father-in-law comes on the scene. And his father-in-law's name is Jethro. Is your father-in-law Jethro? That'd be awesome. Okay, so check this out. It says this: Jethro shows up, and the next day Moses took his seat to hear the people's disputes against one another, because people got problems, right? And they waited before him from morning till evening, and the passage continues. It says, when Moses' father-in-law saw that all that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, "What are you really accomplishing here?" There's kind of like a sarcastic tone in his voice there. "Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around from morning till evening?" And so Moses replied, "Because the people come to me to get a ruling from God. When a dispute arises, they come to me, and I am the one who settles the case between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of God's decrees and give them his instructions." And then check out what Jethro says. "This is not good." Can you imagine being Moses for a second? You're a pretty good leader. You're leading 1 million people. You're doing an all right job. God has called you. You've seen miracles. And all of a sudden, your father-in-law shows up and starts to get all up in your business. Does that rub someone the wrong way? Anybody, just like 2 people that were laughing out there? Everybody else is like, my in-law's here, so I'm keeping quiet, okay? Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But no matter, this has got to irritate Moses a little bit. And he says, Moses' father-in-law exclaimed, "This is not good. You're going to wear yourself out, and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now listen to me, and let me give you a word of advice." Would you love it if your in-laws walked in your house and saw the way you're raising your kids, or you're married, or whatever? Or maybe it's not an in-law, maybe it's like a nosy neighbor that knocks on the door. Let me give you a word of advice. How many of you would be like, "I've got my slap hand ready, go on. Give it to me," right? Okay. Anyway, that's what I would do. Now listen to me, and let me give you a word of advice. "And may God be with you. You should continue to be the people's representative before God, bringing their disputes to him." Let me put a pause on this. He goes on and tells Moses some advice, and we'll get to that in a moment. But here's what I want to do in the meantime. I want to take this passage and the passages coming, and I want to give you 5 roadblocks, 5 things that will stop us from being as teachable as we probably should be. 5 things that are hinder us, 5 things that Moses experienced in this passage that I'm sure at some time in your life, or maybe even right now, you are experiencing. So if you've got your notes, you can break those out. You got a pen, write these down. 5 roadblocks of teachability. Number 1, this is kind of a sneaky one, is success. Success. How many of you think, you know what's really going to stop my life from moving forward is success? Anybody think that before? Not many people, right? Because we think success is the end of the road. Success is where I want to go. Success is how I want to go on this journey. That's why I'm taking this journey. But oftentimes, success leads us to a position where we don't take advice from others, or we stop being teachable. And Moses could have done that. Jethro comes in with this advice, and Moses could have written him off, because Moses is the man of the hour, isn't he? He's the one leading 1 million people. He's the one chosen by God. He's the one leading the people, and God's doing these miracles for him, right? And here comes father-in-law Jethro, Jethro the shepherd, Jethro the farmer, coming in and telling Moses what to do. He could have gone, listen, bro, I know you're all father-in-law-y and stuff, but you know what? I'm kind of a big deal around here, all right? And you're kind of like the farmer's market. I'm Walmart over here, all right? You've got a little piece of the market, but I am the man. He could have taken that. And what do we call that? We call that pride, right? I wonder how many times in your life and my life have we missed out on opportunities from God because we were just too prideful to let God speak into our life, or to let someone else speak into our life. Like right now, in my life, I feel like I have a pretty good marriage. And there are times where I'm like, you know what? I don't really need advice from anybody. I have kids, and my kids are well behaved, and they're healthy little dudettes, whatever. Dude coming in February, boom, boom, okay. So they're healthy, right? They're good, and so there are times where people could say, hey, you know what you could do to help a parent a little better, and be like, psst, bro, got this, okay? You know what I'm saying? Or as a pastor, or as a communicator, a speaker, as a friend, whatever. There's times in our life where we go, you know what? I'm doing okay, so I don't really need what you guys have to say. But if we do that, we miss out on opportunities, don't we? There's times in our lives where we go, you know what, I'm doing okay here, but what if we invited someone in to speak into our lives? And I intentionally do that, to speak into our family, to speak into my relationship with my wife, the way I raise my kids. I have people come into our church and say, TJ, you did this well speaking, you did things not so well in this section, or that point was unclear. I ask people to review what we're doing as a church. I try to grow and learn, and I don't like any of it. I really don't. It rubs me the wrong way every single time. But I know that I'll never grow unless I take the constructive criticism, which is still criticism, right, and bring it into my life and assimilate it and try to grow and try to learn. If I don't do that, then I'll be stuck, and my pride will be my limiter in my life. You been there before? You know those people, right? When maybe you make a suggestion and they just dismiss you every time. Why? Because they already have the answer, and they're right every single time. You guys don't know those people, do you? Okay, all right. Second thing that can be a roadblock to us that we can learn from Moses' story is fear. Fear. Because in Moses' life, fear was commonplace to him. He was always doing things that stretched him. He was always doing things that took him out of his normal box. And many of us are being called by God. God wants you to do something. Maybe it's 21 days of prayer and you're going, I don't know if I can do that. It's just scary because, man, I like to eat a lot, And I like to sleep in, or I like to do this, I like to do that. And you're kind of going, I don't know if that's for me. There's a fear aspect to it, right? But the problem is, if we let fear seize us, we stick with the predictable. And when we stick with the predictable, we do the same thing over and over and over again. And we get this routine or a rut in our life. And we never discover anything new in our life because we let fear paralyze us from what God's best was for us. Does that make sense to anybody else? You know what a routine is? It's just a grave with a rut is like the grave with the ends kicked out, right? You just stay there. That's not the kind of life that God designed for you. He continually wants to grow you. And looking at the fears in your life, quite often those are the greatest opportunities in your life, is overcoming that fear. But you can't overcome it alone. Because the best way to overcome fear is not to just knock on the door and bull through, right? Some people can do that. Many others can't. I'm not one of those people that's just going to bull through fear and go, I'm going to do it anyway. I need a friend, and so do you, don't you? Because the best way to overcome fear is to not go through it alone. My girls, when we go to Chick-fil-A, when you take that little toy they got in their kids' meal, they can trade it in for ice cream. And my girls like ice cream, right? And so they're like, Dad, can I get ice cream with my book? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And then they're like, oh, I meant like you go get ice cream for me, because all of a sudden I have to talk to an adult and wait in line, and it's scary, right? They have this moment where fear is paralyzing them and keeping them at their seat when what they really want is ice cream, but they're stuck with this book, and what they really want is ice cream, but they're too afraid to go get it, and then they look at each other and go, I'll go if you go, right? Because isn't it amazing if one other person is crazy enough to go do it with you, you'll go do it, won't you? So they get up and they go together and they get their ice cream. The same is true in all of our lives, right? Because what we really need to do is find someone that says, me too. You say, I am really scared. I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm really scared. And someone looks at you and goes, me too. But let's do it anyway. I don't really know if I want to do this fast. I know I should, but I'm scared. Me too. Let's do it anyway. I don't know if I can read the Bible in a year, but I'll try if you do. It just gets someone to go along with you, because when you have someone with you, all of a sudden fear isn't so big, is it? That's why I'm really excited for our men's event next Saturday morning. It's the last day before the fast, so of course we're going to have steak there. Duh, right? And we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to laugh together, and we're going to have a lot of things going on. But the most important thing out of all of it is for dudes to sit around a table and go, bro, me too, but let's do it anyway. To overcome fear, because you need someone in your life that's willing to walk with you. And that is the point of why we do a men's event. That's why we do women's things. That's why we have small groups. That's why we do all of these things across the board. It's because we all need someone to go, you know what, me too, but let's do it anyway. That's a big part of who we are. That's how we overcome fears in our life, is by not doing it alone. Number 3, check this out. Third thing for Moses was insecurity. Insecurity. Up to this point, Moses is the man. Everything revolves around him. Literally everything. The leadership decisions, the direction from God, the law is being written through him. Everything. He is the man of the hour. Everyone knows who Moses is. But Jethro's advice begins to take some of the leadership ability and begins to share it with other people. Check it out in verse 21 of chapter 18. This is Jethro's advice to Moses. But select from all the people some capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders over groups of 1,150 and 10. And then the passage continues. They should always be available to solve the people's common disputes, but have them bring the major cases to you. And then look at this. Let the leaders decide. Who's deciding? Moses or the leaders? Leaders. All of a sudden, he's not the man of the hour, is he? There's someone else with some power coming around. And that can bring up insecurities in us, can't it? When someone else gets recommendations at work, someone else gets approval of someone, right? It can bring up insecurities within us. And so let the leaders decide the smaller matters for themselves. They will help you carry the load, making the task easier for you. I've seen this at play in my own life because I like to do a lot of things. I like to do graphic design work. I like to play in the band, guitar, or whatever. I like to do these things. But for the greater good of the church, I don't. Because I could do graphic design for our church, but it wouldn't be as good as the guy who actually does the graphic design for our church, because he's way better than me, right? I could play in the band and have my hand in that mix, but I'm not as good as these guys that are up here every single Sunday, and I would limit it. And so releasing part of it, though, what does that do for you? You kind of go, yeah, you have more time, but it begins to bring out your insecurities. You begin to say things like, well, what am I going to do? What about me? What about my talents? What about my abilities? And it becomes very introspective and introverted. And Moses had to overcome some of these insecurities. Maybe for you, one of your insecurities is coming to our growth track class. We have it tonight at 5 o'clock. And here's the line we always say in association with our growth track. We want to help you discover how God has uniquely made you to change the world around you. We want to help you discover how God has uniquely made you to change the world around you. Our goal is to help you change your world. And you may be going, oh, TJ, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm the right person for that. And all of a sudden, your insecurities come up. And maybe your insecurities are just about actually going to the event. I'll have to talk to someone new. That's scary for me. Or maybe you're afraid of what God is going to ask you to do. You discover some talents, and God goes, hey, I'd like for you to start a small group. We call them connect groups here. And you're going, ooh, I don't know if I could be a leader. That L word is scary to me. And it begins to bring out some insecurities in you. But you know what? If you are going to let insecurities paralyze you, you'll never be able to fulfill the potential that God has for you. Don't let insecurities slow you down. Talk with someone about it. Walk through it. Let God work in you and work through you to make a difference in the world around you. Moses had an opportunity to lean into his insecurity. And we'll find out in a moment if he did or did not do that. All right, number 4. Fourth thing that often keeps us from our full potential in Christ or to being teachable is pain. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? We all have things in our past, painful things, things we don't want to talk about anymore. But it's interesting, the deeper we dig to build a foundation for our life, the more pain comes out. It's like a skyscraper. Man, you want to build that sucker really tall? Where does the foundation have to go? Really deep. And as you begin to go deeper, you encounter things. In your own life, if you want to build and live up to the potential that God has for you, you're going to have to dig deeper and deeper into yourselves and deal with some of the pain that's already placed there. Maybe it's what someone did to you. Maybe it's a decision you made, something full of regret. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't have to stay hidden and buried in your life. But as you begin to dig deeper and you encounter that pain, don't just cover it back up, but expose it and let God begin to heal it. And as you let God begin to heal that pain in your life, you're going to be able to grow and build a greater life because of it. Don't let pain stop you from being more and more teachable. We've all been there. We've all felt that. You're not alone. You can be healed by God through great relationship with Him, great relationship with others, and finding His Word at work inside of you. And then the fifth thing, it's another kind of sneaky one like success, is pace. Pace sneaks up on you. Pace is kind of like when you get moving and all of a sudden, have you ever been there where you're running and the hill starts to go downhill? And all of a sudden you're going faster and faster and then you realize, wait a minute, this is too fast, but you can't stop anymore? You ever been there and then you just kind of crash and burn? That's pace in our life. Sometimes we're working and we're involved in our church and we have our relationship with someone maybe, or maybe you're a parent, you have kids, or you have all these things kind of flipping through your life, and all of a sudden the pace begins to pick up little by little and you don't even recognize it. Until one day you feel like you're burning out and your mind is going crazy and you go, what happened? Pace happened. That was happening to Moses. He didn't have a lot of room in his life because the pace of keeping up with 1 million people got to him. Look what he said again in verse 17 of Exodus. This is not good, Moses' father-in-law exclaimed. You're going to wear yourself out. You're doing too much. You're with the people from morning till night, settling disputes, morning till night. You've got a bad pace going on in your life. You're going to wear yourself out. And not only that, check it out, and the people too. When you have a bad pace in your life, you're not going to wear you out only, but the people around you. If you're married, it's a spouse. If you have kids, it's your kids. If you have friends, you're going to wear your friendships out. If it's coworkers, you're going to wear them out too. Employees, employers, whatever. If you work that pace too long and too far, you're going to wear yourself out and the people around you. He says this job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. And the reason why pace is so important is like I hear it from business owners quite often. They say, don't be so busy working in the business that you neglect to work on the business. Don't be so busy in the day-to-day tasks that you don't step back and look at the future and say, how can we develop in the long term? How can we make this better? I think sometimes we do that in our own life. We get so busy in running the race to go through life with pace after pace after pace. We've got these moments, step after step. We're so close to everything. We don't have the time or the energy to step back and go, you know what? There's some areas that need to improve. But you know what happens in our life? When we have margin, when we have extra time, we begin to grow. Because it's in the margin of our lives that God begins to speak to us. It's in the moments where we're silent before Him. Maybe it's in that one-year Bible, like I talked about. Maybe it's 21 days of prayer. Whatever the case may be, when we get into those seasons of life, those margin seasons, that's when we really begin to grow. We give God time to speak to us. When we stop our pace and we slow it down a little bit, God opens up and we give Him time to speak to us. I believe He's always speaking, but when we change our pace, we have the ability now to listen. So if you're not taking time off regularly, can I be blunt and just say you're not as smart as you think you are? Because you're missing out on opportunities for God to speak to you. Now these are the 5 things that Moses struggled with, right? 5 things, and I think you guys have been there too, on all of them, because I know I have. So how did Moses respond? Check this out. Exodus chapter 18, verse 24. Moses listened to his father-in-law's advice. He listened, and he followed his suggestions. He put it into practice. Moses had every opportunity to be prideful, to be fearful, to be full of insecurity, to remember his pain, and to dismiss his father-in-law because of his pace in life, but he didn't do it. He actually took it into his life, and he was teachable, and he began to grow as a result. But what's interesting with all of this is that these 5 things are not just hindering you if you're a Christian, they're hindering you if you're not a believer in Jesus. Check it out. I got this bucket here. I know some of you guys were wondering, why on earth does he have that bucket up there the whole time? Okay. This bucket is made of slats. There's like individual pieces. And there's no holes in it. So if I filled this with water, I could get it all the way to the top because all the slats are equal length, right? Now what if I took one of the slats and I pulled it out and I cut it down to about here? How full could the bucket be? To the lowest slat, right? If I filled it with water. Just to the lowest slat. Our life is a lot like that. If pain is holding us down, we are missing out on a potential growth in our life because of one thing. That's not good, is it? What if our pace is just too busy and we don't give God time to speak? We're missing out on a lot of life, aren't we? Your life could be to the fullest, as Jesus would say. There could be a lot more life there for you. There's a lot more potential in you if we would take some of these 5 things and we begin to work on them. And we would become the people that God always designed us to be, to reach that potential. So these 5 things are important. But also, if you're not a Christian, these 5 things are important because these 5 things will keep you from coming into a relationship with Christ. Let's pull those 5 things back up on the screen. There's times in our life where we get so successful in and of ourselves. By a worldly definition of success, we go, you know what? I'm doing all right without God. Maybe I'll go to him when I really need him. And we skip Jesus. Or maybe fear comes up in our life. When someone talks to you about, hey, God wants to do something in your life. He wants to reach in and switch some things around, maybe change some things for the better. You go, oh, no, I don't like change. That's not for me. And it's holding you back from him. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe you're afraid that you give your life to Christ and things in your life are going to come up that you didn't really want to talk about before, but now you have to. And it's keeping you back from really embracing the potential life that God has for you. Or maybe, like this 4th one, pain. Maybe someone who called themselves a Christian hurt you at one time, and you hold God accountable for that, and you say, you know what, I don't want to have anything to do with that because some Christian hurt me. Listen, they're not God. And don't let it hold you back from what God has for you. And then the last one is pace. Maybe we're just too busy. Too busy to let God speak to our hearts. We fill our lives with everything else, but we don't let him speak. We don't let him give us peace when we need peace. We don't let him speak to our heart and call us closer to himself. These 5 things can keep us far away from God, Christian or not, believer or not, follower of Christ or not. Today, my challenge is, through this first month, identifying yourself. What are some of the slats that I've allowed to slip down in my life? I've got some. Do you? And how can I work on those with Jesus' help to make them raise up a little bit and I can reach my full potential? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pray for you guys. And the prayer is so simple. But if you don't mind, maybe closing your eyes, bowing your heads. No one really looking around. No moving around so there's no distraction. I'm going to pray for you that God would help identify these things in your life and he'd help you grow to reach your potential. But at the same time, here's a prayer that I really want to pray with you. If you're here and you say, you know what, TJ, I've never really given my life to Jesus. I've never surrendered who I am to him and asked for a new life, for forgiveness of my sins. Or maybe you did that a long time ago, but one of these 5 things has been keeping you away from him. If that's you, this is your morning to pray a prayer that says, Jesus, make me new in you. I want to discover a new life in you, Jesus. And I'm going to help you with the words, but it's your heart talking to him that really is what matters. If you don't mind doing that, why don't you pray this prayer with me quietly right where you are. Jesus, I pray that you would give me a new life in you. I pray that the old life I used to have would be gone and I would receive something new, something fresh from you. That you'd help me live up to my potential, that you'd help me deal with the pain and the fear and the insecurity in my life, that I may be made whole in you, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Father. In your wonderful and holy name we pray. Everybody says?